Hey, kindergarten smilers, it's Mrs. Kiger here, and I want to read a book to you called Goodnight Lab. So, if you or your parents or anyone you know have ever read Goodnight Moon to you, this book is a parody of that. That just means that it is very similar to that. Okay, so it's called Goodnight Lab. So, thinking of my science lab. In the great green lab, there was a laser and a lab notebook and a picture of. So here's our green walls. Here's her laser pointer. Here's her lab notebook and a picture of Einstein with a stern look. Einstein was a very famous scientist. And there were 3 sticky notes stuck to lab coats. Mrs. Kiger would wear my lab coat if we were at school. And copper wire. So here's some copper wire right here, and a pair of pliers, and a spectrometer right here, and a thermometer. So these are some of the tools that a scientist might use, and a pen, and a coffee, and some crumpled rubbish, which is another word for garbage. See the papers, the garbage, and the trash? And a grumpy old professor shouting, "Publish!" He wants to have the research published so that they can share it with other people. Good night, lab. Good night, laser. Good night, Einstein, with a stern look. Looks very serious. Good night, light, and the lab notebook. Good night, sticky notes. Good night, lab coats. Good night, ammeter. Good night, voltmeter. So just different tools to measure different things. Good night, thermometer. Good night, spectrometer. Good night, pen. Good night, rubbish. Good night to the grumpy old professor shouting, "Rubbish." Good night, liquid nitrogen. Did you see those pipes back behind her in the earlier video? Good night, compressed air. Good night, scientists everywhere. So there's the nitrogen and the compressed air that were back here. So science lab. So instead of saying good night moon like the one book, this is good night science lab. And that is just a little bit about the author. He was a physicist, a mathematician, Chris Ferrie, a father of 4 budding young scientists, just like you. He believes it is never too early to introduce small children to big ideas. So even though some of these words and things you maybe never saw or heard of before, it doesn't hurt to start learning new things and seeing new things. That is how we learn. They might seem strange right now, they might seem hard right now, but if we keep learning and listening and exploring, we can learn all kinds of great things. I can't wait to see how much you grow this year, your first year in school, getting ready to learn all kinds of fun things. And I am Mrs. Kiger. I'm going to be teaching you all about science things and what we would do in the science lab. You still will do science with your regular teachers for your classroom. I'm just a special, like you would go to for art or music or gym, which we call PE, or media. You come to science lab, so you get extra science at our school. Super cool. Alrighty. I hope that you look forward to looking at the activities you'll be doing on my Canvas this week, as well as getting to meet with me in a Zoom meeting. Can't wait to meet you all.